Welcome to Wise Beyond Bitcoin, where you come to wise up on crypto, where we come to wise up on crypto. My name is Lucas.
And my name is Ryan.
And, we're here to continue. We do our live streams every Monday from 6 to 7, but we're also going to continue doing little updates every time we find some important cryptocurrency news. And we're excited, especially when it relates to economics and markets in general, which is where we really enjoyed talking about the relationship, the interaction between this new technology and the capital structure, the current monetary system, the financial system, and all these legacy institutions. So without further ado, we've got some big news, especially after our last live stream where we mentioned the extremely high risk yield farming that was put on Polygon Matic, which received a lot of attention and support from Mark Cuban in a subsequent pump, and that is Iron Finance. So without further ado, Ryan, you want to jump in a little bit and talk about what kind of happened?
Yeah, okay. Well, this is a good article if you're interested in getting the details, but essentially Iron Finance, it was a yield farm, and it was stable coins that you were farming, and Titan was the token that fluctuated, and Iron was the stable coin, and you could pool Iron and USD together, provide liquidity into a pool. There was one on QuickSwap, there was one on SushiSwap, and they had extraordinary ROIs. The annual percentage yield was at one point, I think I saw it go as high as 30,000 or close to, and it was just, it was wild. So you knew that it was going to be a short-term thing. You can't bet that, but that's going to last. And it fluctuated a lot. You would sit there and see it go from 29,000 to 13,000 over the course of a minute or 5-minute period, just as somebody moved money out, right, or moved money in, it would go back up. So it's very volatile. And then there was essentially a moment a few days ago, I believe, what is it, Friday? So that would have been like Wednesday, I want to say, Tuesday night or Wednesday morning, somewhere around there. It'll be in the article. But what happened was some whales started cashing out. They made the Titan had gone. So here's how it works: you pull your stable coins, you paid out in Titan every day. So and you're getting a great amount, a high rate. It's a high return. And Titan had been going up in value by a large amount. When I got into it, it was around $20, and it had gone from around $1 or $2 to 20 in the course of like I think a couple days, like a half a week. So it was massive. And then it went from 20 to 65 in a 3-day period, 3 to 4-day period. I saw it happen fast. So you got to know that anybody who was early on this, who got into it under $1 or at $1, was looking to make that profit real and to realize some profit, right? Take some money off the table. And they moved some money out, and Titan fell from 65 to 30 pretty quick, really fast. And but then there was this kind of a dead cat bounce thing that happened, right? This is where this gets into it in the Post-Mortem. Mm-hmm. But the price went back up to around 50 for a moment. This was during the day. It was like, let me look, I got it in my notes. I think it was around 3. So the initial price fell around 10, and then the rebound, I think, was around 2 to 3, something like that. So what was going on? Why did the price rebound? Why did it, then it dropped to 0? That's the next thing. So then it went from 50 to 0 in the course of the next few hours. And everybody in Polygon and Matic, it was difficult to get your exchanges to go through. It was crowded. Everybody was rushing for the exits. Mm-hmm. I had to increase my my fee of numerous times just to get to cash out. So, but one of the things what was going on was that this was a collateralized. The key here is this was a collateralized stablecoin, which means fractional reserve stablecoin. It would not collateralized. Partially collateralized. That's the
25%, correct?
Yeah, 25% was Titan, which had no real value. It fluctuates, and the other 75% was USDC. It had a 75% backing in USDC, and which gives you some confidence. But what this means is that unlike Tether or USDC, where you might see at most a fluctuation down to a penny up or down either way, or maybe 2 pennies on an extreme moment, Iron would fluctuate down to 90 cents and go up to $1 or something. It would fluctuate within a wide band. And when the initial sell-off happened, iron fell to 90 cents. And people who were clued into what was going on realized that they could buy iron at 90 cents. This was what drove the dead cat bounce, what drove the price back up after the initial plunge. They bought iron at 90 cents, and then they could immediately redeem it for 25% Titan and 75% USDC, which they could go then cash out, right, at whatever rate, and get basically pay 90 cents for a dollar. So this incentive, this perverse incentive, essentially created this dead cat bounce, and then they were able to then sell those assets, the Titan and the iron that they were making, and then cash out to USDC. And so by doing that, it just, everybody saw the writing on the wall. The bank run was imminent, and the price fell from 50 to 0 within a matter of hours. So what it shows you here, when you really zoom out, is that partially collateralized stablecoins in yield farming programs that have no time lock, right? Because we can get into that in a minute, but with no time lock, so you're essentially dealing with something you can get in and out of without any fees, without any penalties or anything. What you have is you're gambling. This is pure gambling, and there's no real reason to think that you need, there's no need for this to be a rug pull. Like if you're wondering, was this a rug pull? Was this insiders who ripped people off? No, you don't, there's no evidence of that.
Just a poor design.
It's just poor design. Because and to your point, if we were talking earlier, you said, well, look at Adamant, look at Addy. It's a similar kind of program. You're staking stable coins, you're getting paid out in this native token. And but the difference is, and it's also partially collateralized, but the difference is that there's a time lock. You're penalized if you don't hold over a certain period. So the incentives there it remains to be seen, but the incentives kind of mitigate against this happening, and it could potentially make it where a fractional reserve crypto project could be viable, right? But so far with Iron Finance, the market, you could say that the fractional reserve program or crypto failed the market test. It didn't pass. A bank run liquidated it, and they're actually calling it the world's first large-scale crypto bank run, which that's probably right. That makes sense.
I was just going to say, speaking of economic concepts in the current digital cryptocurrency market space, here, that's what I just pulled up in that article. We just experienced the worst thing that could happen to the protocol, a historical bank run in the modern high-tech crypto space. So this goes to what you were just talking about, but a bank run, what allows us, it's the tokenomics, and you can go back into the tokenomics of different currencies back when bank runs were happening and what was needed. And just like you lock up money, there were banking holidays, there were locks on capital to prevent outflows. And so what we're talking about is the design.
What happens when you don't have that?
Where you don't have it, where it's designed properly, where and so while these things fail on their face, some of them, it's good because it's where we get to see as men and women trying to figure out how to navigate this new technology, where the flaws are, where the weaknesses are, right? So I mean, for me, it's like what yield farming, rarely do you see a yield farm that is still around today. It's probably the highest risk of all DeFi in cryptocurrency. However, what it seeks to do with auto compounding and being able to bridge liquidity to different exchanges, there's potential for I'm sure for some of these products in the future as they work out these kinks, right? That being said, we need to allow, I feel it's important to allow these technologies to allow people to see in hindsight, oh, okay, well, that's clearly why that went wrong. And here's another economics term right after the bank run is an arbitrage opportunity, which is exactly what you described.
Right.
Right. So it's being able to see when people design an automated protocol and they find out, oh, there's a flaw because it left an arbitrage opportunity, that allows somebody else to build the same protocol without that flaw and to see how we figure it out.
And to your point about that, if we had an overly regulated market where these sorts of protocols couldn't be innovated and tested, we would never know. We would be dumber. And I don't mean that in a pejorative sense. I just mean we'd have less knowledge than we are now with that test. Because we need the whole idea here is in science is to run a bunch of experiments and to figure out what doesn't work in that, and then to falsify a bunch of bad ideas so that we can whittle our way down to something that we can say, well, at least it hasn't been falsified yet. It's true with an asterisk, and it's true for as far as we know, right? We haven't proven it false. So that's the best way to, I mean, we don't have anything better than that right now. Maybe we'll come up with something better in the future, but so far that seems to pay the best dividends. And if you're like Mark Cuban and you're calling for regulation of this space because you lost money gambling, then you're not thinking about that. You're not thinking about how you're going to make people dumber and you're going to make us poor. You're thinking about, oh, I want to have a safety net because I lost money. He wants an FDIC to bail him out. So let's get into that because I know you have a lot to say.
Yeah, well, I'm surprised, but not surprised. He went from, I mean, we were just talking about him on the live stream. I was excited that you had someone with such influence in pop culture that was breaking down the barriers to crypto so far as to be involved in yield farming, which is, like we've discussed, the highest risk in cryptocurrency. So, of course, he has money to play with and he can afford to lose. And what he wants to do with his involvement in cryptocurrency is that's his choice. But to go into yield farming and the highest risk in crypto, and then to get burnt in this protocol, which welcome to the world of crypto. How many people have gotten burnt in other similar projects before? So in actual rug pulls, not even bad tokenomics, in actual rug pulls. So right. at least he helped pave the way for understanding why partially collateralized stablecoins put people at risk, right? Why we get into that. Could there be partially, we've talked about this with replacing dollars or fiat. Would people ever go for a fully collateralized? Would a free market allow for a fully collateralized currency or partially collateralized reserve type currency? And how would that be able to survive in a free market? So this was a great example of what happens using this technology when we try to create a partially backed currency and the exploits that can be done. So he gets into a high risk yield farming, B, the first partially backed stable coin attempt at that. It claims he got out in time, maybe made some money, maybe, who knows, broke even. Of course, we know that most people didn't. That's how these things work. Most people ate it in this learning lesson. But I'm curious. It's just so funny that he would sit here and call for stablecoin regulation when admittedly this market is so wild west, so new, and these protocols are literally, there's no one out there in the world of regulators who still can't even control the currency systems that they've created and are in charge of, the legacy systems. And then you're going to go and call for them to help save your what you got upset with, whatever you got lost in regulating stable coins, which is an industry that they can't know that much about yet. I mean, like, this is literally a brand new technology to the world. We're all learning this together. So to sit there and cry for regulation over a loss in a yield farming protocol, it seems to me ignorance of blockchain technology and cryptocurrency and DeFi. I thought he knew more. So that's where I was surprised from the positions he was taking. I just thought he knew more. I thought he knew better when he talks about risk and all these things. But
he didn't do his due diligence. That's really what it is.
He didn't do his due diligence.
Because here's what he's really saying. If you're calling for regulation of this space, what you're really saying is I don't want to have the option to invest in things like iron finance. I want someone to say, no, you can't do that. Because let's be real, iron finance and adamant and probably even any other ones you can name, they're not going to clear any kind of regulatory hurdles to get approved. We can't even get a Bitcoin ETF approved. You know what I mean? And you're talking about wanting to approve yield farming. So what you're really saying is you want to hold a gun to someone's head and say you can't do that.
Right. Outlawing it. Basically, it's the cry for outlawing it. The new cry to make decentralized finance illegal. So really, Mark Cuban coming in, pretending that he's pro cryptocurrency, pro DeFi, pro NFTs. And now he's going to be one of the pioneers in leading the charge for making sure cryptocurrency is heavily regulated. So I would say now Mark Cuban goes and sits in the timeout box with Elon Musk.
Elon Musk, yeah.
Elon and Cuban.
If people who open their mouths and prove they aren't as smart as we've collectively decided they are, you know, we were wrong.
And that's understandable, because you can't spent the time to pioneer and be as good as what they do. You know, he does Shark Tanks, and he does basketball teams, and manages vast amounts of wealth. So, I mean, that takes a lot of energy, and to wrap and just all of a sudden understand cryptocurrency. There's a lot of pioneers, Andreas Antonopoulos, there's a lot of people to listen to in the space. And I wouldn't go running to Elon or Cuban for, you know, the wisdom of cryptocurrency. And, you know,
that's right.
This just goes to show.
Well, you know, I'd like to end everything on a light note, and unless you have something else to add.
No, but I thought, did you have any more on jurisdiction? And some of the fallacies maybe with why.
Let's touch on that. Let's touch on that. So crypto DeFi, this is all it's a global thing. You know, it crosses crosses national boundaries, and purposely so. And so if you're going to call for regulation, you should be aware of that you know, you're trying, how are you going to regulate something you don't have jurisdictional control over? By the very nature of it, it's decentralized, it's distributed, it's censorship resistant. It was built to withstand attempts to be controlled and to be controllable, whether by regulators or by anybody else for that matter. So it doesn't seem like he understands. It's another example of, okay, you just don't get it.
Right.
You know, you're not on board with that. And with what this is, you just don't, you're investing in something you don't fully understand is what my response to that. And then the other thing I would say is that this is just a basic do your own due diligence, caveat emptor kind of thing. You know, there's not a consumer watchdog that's going to protect you. From every little thing in the world. You kind of have to do research, especially when you're putting however much millions of dollars in something. That you should, if you don't know about what you're investing in, you should hire somebody who does to tell you what you're investing in. But don't go and call for regulation on every little thing just because you lost a gamble. It'd be like going to Las Vegas and blowing your putting your mortgage on, you know, mortgaging your house and putting it all on craps, and then coming back and with nothing. And you'd say, oh, we better start regulating Las Vegas. It's like, no, you just need to make better decisions. Absolutely. You know, that's it. That's my thoughts on that.
And like you said, you know, when you bring up the jurisdiction, and this is a worldwide, obviously this is spread over everywhere. Should we require $1? The question is, who's we? I would ask Mark Cuban, who is the we? You know, what we are you speaking of? Who gets to go and champion the requirements for this worldwide technology? You know, who gets to become the regular? And the reality is that what he should be seeing anytime an entrepreneur sees a regulation, what they should be seeing is an opportunity, right? Because if what he sees is really so bad, then he should open up a DeFi exchange that only uses 100 back. It's like, come on, Mark, come on, man, get with it.
You can create a contract that solves these problems.
Create a contract that solves and says this exchange, this, you know, you will only use 100, and bada bing, bada boom, create the standard, you know, create the dollar, which is where the word dollar comes from, a dollar, right? You know,
maybe if you used locked liquidity, ownerless locked liquidity, like we know a little bit about, projects that do that.
And actually, on the way out, why don't we? Because the whole team has been so great over the course of the last year and sharing information. And Wise Token, I feel this is a perfect example. There are great cryptocurrencies out there, and we are not maximalists. In fact, I'd like to end it on our brand new website, wisebeyondbitcoin.com. The link will be in the description. But Wise Token, as a smart contract built on Ethereum and now on other smart contract platforms with interoperable bridges, liquidity programs. This is an innovation. Would solve everything Mark Cuban is talking about. There's literally over $200 million in locked liquidity on Uniswap that cannot be rug pulled. It can't, the collateralization is stuck. It's there. It's dang near one-to-one. As
And there's no perverse incentives in the tokenomics.
no perverse
That's no
tokenomics. It's
key.
there could be no real bank run. It's an open 24/7 to the Uniswap decentralized exchange. So, and it's just setting a standard for the value of locked liquidity on exchanges that are acceptable. It's a safety net for people. And I guess the question to him would be, so should there be cryptos with different levels of locked liquidity and that come out? You know, you can play with variations and how liquidity is locked, and that's where we got into Adamant as a yield farm, creating liquidity locking for periods of time, and other cryptos do that as well. So there are ways around of these bank runs and these the flaws in these protocols. But I would say to jump into a protocol and not be aware of it, you know, he says he blames himself for being lazy and not doing enough research, but I would say there's no but. Just end it there. Just if you're pro technology and pro crypto and just admitting your mistakes, there's no but. You just leave it at that. You just, I made a mistake. No but. Not but it's other people's fault. Just straight up, I was lazy. I didn't do enough research, and I'm not a coder, so I couldn't even see it. I was taking a risk, you know, no buts. That's what I would say on that.
Yep. And you know, it kind of reminds me of what we're seeing in politics, with a lot of people moving from high tax, high regulation states like California coming to Texas. We're both from Texas, so we hear this a lot. You'll hear, "Don't California my Texas," right? Don't come and try to change. Don't try to change the thing you're going to, because you're leaving the other thing for a reason, right? That's the subtext. Well, I would say to Mark is, don't Federal Reserve my crypto, right? You left. You're in crypto for a reason. You're in DeFi for a reason. We're not with Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan in dollar-based investments,
right,
for a reason. You left that world to come to this world for a reason. So don't California my crypto. Don't Federal Reserve my crypto, buddy.
I'm basically don't CeFi my DeFi.
Yeah, don't CeFi my DeFi.
I love it. I love it. Hey, and we look forward to sharing more videos. We just had to jump in and talk about this with Mark Cuban, talking about hailing for regulation of stable coins. And we just were talking about the risk of yield farming in DeFi. So we look forward to staying abreast. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification bell. We do a live stream once a week, and we'll continue to keep you updated of, well, the progress and whatever's unfolding in the world of crypto. Our new website, it should be out by the time you see this video, www.wisebeyondbitcoin.com. Check it out in the description below. We look to be an educational resource hub. If there is a great link to cryptocurrency that adds a lot of value to your world and you think it add value to others, feel free to comment and let us know what that is, and we'll do our research. And if we think it will do that for others, then we'll add it to the bill. So thank you for your time. We look forward to seeing you on the next one. Until then, namaste and have a beautiful day.
Adios. Thank you.